What's up, guys? Kevin here, coming at you with a video. Today I'm bringing you a tier list, and this is what I like to call the pleb tier, the tier list for plebs, like the ranked tier list for plebs. Okay, so this isn't like, the top competitive gods in order, blah blah blah. You can watch someone else do that. A lot of people are doing that, but this is, in my opinion, a pretty good combination and picks of gods that you can play to help get you out of silver, help get you out of gold, and hopefully take you to plat. Okay, so if you don't play these gods already, these are good gods that I'm recommending to you that you can learn to play. It's not I know, like, sometimes learning to play new god is kind of like a drag, but once you do play them, it's just like, oh, this isn't hard at all. These are the gods that it's kind of like that. So let's just get this out the way. Also, don't ignore like these ranks. Just like pay attention to the order. I'm gonna break down each god anyway. So yeah, these gods, they're either like really easy to like mechanic. They're like skill friendly slash like just each guy's a different combination of things, which is why they're on the list. I'm gonna break them down. So let's just get on with it. SS rank, you have Al Kwong, very OP. He's always been OP. If you don't know, then you probably don't play ranked a lot. Only advice I have to give to you when it comes to playing Al Kwong is make sure you practice in casuals, because you're not gonna get a lot of practice time in rank to play him. Most of the time he's like 80% auto banned. So when you do get the chance to play him, just make sure you're ready. I know it's not that hard to like do really good with him. Sometimes it's like just really easy to snowball, but you have to be comfortable with the god. So make sure you always like play some casuals once in a while to practice those top gods that you don't really get to play in ranked. Next up we have Athena. Before, I never really played Athena. I just wasn't into support, but now, like, understanding the game better, Athena is OP. Like, it's OP. It just burns beads. You can be so aggressive and you can just set your teammates up so easily, just to get confirmed damage with your time. And if it's not confirmed, then they've probably used their beads. So having an Athena on the team, period, is just great. Like, if you are the kind of player that is okay with playing the fill role, and you're pretty like confident in your support skills, like you're roaming and you can set up ganks, then that's like a huge recipe to help you win rank games. It's good to like main a role, but it's also like good to be able to like fill sometimes, depending on the kind of lobby that you're in. So yeah, man, Athena's OP. She does a lot of damage early. Those taunts are just nasty, man. You can just I'm telling you, it's so stupid how OP Athena is. And next up we got Hu Yi. Hu Yi's really good. His mark does a lot of damage, and just the potential, just like the skill ceiling for Hu Yi is pretty good. I wouldn't. Okay, I'm gonna change it. I'm not gonna put this really SS, because it's still like, it's a pretty reliable god, but for plebs, we're thinking about plebs. It's not like super consistent, So I'm actually gonna drop it. Maybe like, probably put it like right here with like along with these guys. Next up we have Mercury. Now Merc is really good in this meta, especially with the speed buff. He is so cheese. Anyone can play him, and if you're gonna go against him, I would be scared, because anyone can play him. Like, it's really not hard. And it kind of pisses me off going against a Mercury in rank, because I love to spam Merc in rank. And when I see a Merc on the other team just killing me, I just like, oh, that could be me right now, So this is like the ultimate pleb god. Okay, I'm telling you guys, you can run around the map, just poke. You can just be around, poke with your 1, or if you have a good chance, you can set him up with your 3. And like, your ult is just so good. You can like ult from behind towers. You can ult from anywhere. You can find like roaming from the mid lane to the solo lane, and finding like that little angle is like, it's there's just so many different opportunities to gank with that ult. It's pretty crazy. Susano is just broken. It's in ranked right now. I haven't played him. I played him once, but I honestly don't know. I just know he's OP. We're not even gonna explain it because new guy, blah blah blah. But honestly, we should just ignore this. But yeah, next up we got Ares. Ares is, in my opinion, one of the best ranked gods to play because as long as you can hit your chains, and I know that's like even if you miss your chains, you can, as long as you have the discipline to just back off and accept that you miss and don't really put yourself in too much of a dangerous position to chain, then you're gonna be you'll be fine as long as you have good positioning. And like playing gods like Ares will make you practice your positioning, and like you'll kind of look back at like whenever you die, like okay, maybe this was a bit too aggressive, or like maybe I should have taken this pathing. So it's like good practice too. It's the kind of god that will make you also a better player, mechanics wise and just like methodically. And also what I like to do is I just like to I level up my 3 for the clear, I level up my chain next, and then I level up my depending on the laning phase, I'll either opt to level my chain at level 3 just because I'll think it's more useful. It just depends on the situation. Or you can just get your flame wave for more clear. But once you hit level 4, well, you'll have 2 points in both. Okay, it's gonna be at level 6 after you have your ultimate. I like to just start maxing out the flame wave, the 3. I don't know if it's called the flame wave, but I like to start maxing out the 3 just because that 1% to like 2% spike, I don't know, I feel like it's just really, it makes a huge difference. And like once you get it to max rank and you start doing dot damage for 3%, you do 3% dot damage like per tick, it does a lot of damage. Surprisingly, it can really catch a lot of people off guard, because sometimes you don't even need to like walk in lane to chain people. Sometimes you could just like walk in and just start flame waving them, because like if you get in a good position and like they can't get away, like you can just flame them. Like that's kind of just better to do, and then you can just finish them off with your one. It just depends on the situation. Either way, Ares is really good. He's the kind of support that you could carry with and like peel with damage at the same time. You just got to make sure you hit those chains and take your time. And the ult is obviously really good. Burn speed. You can get. I like to start blink, or I either like to start sprint. Just depends. Next up we got Nemesis. Nemesis, incredibly good. One of the best things about her is that you really can't miss a skill shot with her. She's gotten a lot better, especially with the speed buff. Just the mobility is insane, and just it's really good. I don't even know how the shield is also good. The only thing is you have to be careful of wasting that shield when it comes to CC. So just think about the possible CCs and like what you can shield. And just try not to be greedy with it. And whenever you can dive, the great thing is with Nem is you can dive towers pretty efficiently. Just make sure when you're diving the tower, you wait till the tower shot. You wait, pop your shield right before the tower hits you. So let the tower shot, let the projectile let it project first, and then before it hits you, you should activate the shield so you can tank the next shot with your shield. Because if you pop your 3 right when the projectile starts projecting, then it won't be out long enough for you to tank that second one. So just a little friendly advice there. And also you should auto attack cancel with your shield too. Auto attack canceling is very important. You can get 3 autos, and your 4th auto is like the longest one. I think it's like 1.5 seconds or like 1.25 seconds. So what you can do, you can do auto attack, or maybe the 3rd one's the longest. 1, 2, 3. No, I think it's the 4th one that's longest actually. So you can 3 auto attacks. You can shield really quickly and then just start doing 3 more autos. You can do the slow if necessary, but like in a different situation, like it might be more productive to just keep doing autos instead of wasting the casting time with using the 2. So yeah, that's just a little tip and trick I learned from my friend Vranium, who has like 7,000 worshippers on Nemesis. So yeah, he just spams it in ranked. If you ever come across Vranium in ranked, make sure you ban Nemesis. Make sure if you play against him and then you queue again, just ban them. Just you have to do it. All right, on to the A plus. These are like that's like all these gods are like, I would say you can, if you've practiced them long enough and are pretty comfortable with them, you can get like a 60% win rate, 55 at least, which is really good. It's really good. The rest of these gods are very solid gods, but they still have their issues. You know what I mean? So let's go with Apollo. Apollo's really good ADC. He has so much in his kit. He has a dash that gives movement speed. He has a mez that also gives protections. He has the global ultimate. He's been around for a long time. We know the power split push. I'm not gonna really explain that further. Baka, pretty solid pick for a solo laner. If you don't really want to pick a warrior, you can play Baka. The only thing is, I would say, think twice before you go Golden Bow, because if you get the Golden Bow proc onto the enemy that you're laning against, then you're just gonna start tanking creeps. So be careful of that. Other than that, you know, try out farming your enemy solo laner instead of just, you know, you could go for the kill if you think it's possible, but you can also like heavily out farm the guy. You can play that way. Yeah. Up next we have Beatlemn. For people, I don't really main solo lane, but I play Beatlemn. Beatlemn has always been really good. She's not as OP now, but she still is OP. But people have kind of like forgotten about Beatlemn. What's also really good about Beatlemn is like she's just like a lane bully, you know. Other than, I guess, when it comes to going up against Osiris, she's just a bully in lane. You know, she has the bludgeon, does so much damage, and you have block stacks with your wand, and you can disarm. And she's a really good counter to other gods like Mercury or Kali that are really OP and that are really popular in ranked. So I would say Beatlemn is always a solid pick in the solo lane, always, especially if you're like picking it early and you're like, you know, you don't really want to get counter picked and stuff like that. You know, Beatlemn is a good solid pick. Next up we got Kronos. I usually like playing Kronos in mid. You can play him in solo, but I just kind of have like, I'm just kind of superstitious when it comes to playing Kronos in solo lane, because it's, I don't know, I feel better putting him in the mid lane. Kronos is really strong. You go solo and power pot. You know, it does a lot of damage. And once if you can get to late game, you're gonna do like, your autos will hit so hard. So yeah, Kronos is really good hyper carry. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about him that I need to like, I don't know, there's like a bunch of different ways you can build Kronos. I don't know. Not really much else to say about it. He's got his ultimate rewind. You have a good team around you. Yeah, Kronos is just a really good hyper carry. He's fun. Kronos is just fun. Humbat's really solid. The ultimate, you know, it's good. Burn CC. Man. Yeah. We all know about Humbat. He's always been like a solid jungler. I guess he's not top 5 anymore. But I feel like he's still in the same place he was, where he's still like exceptionally really, you know, he does really well. Yeah, as long as you just play patient, you're smart with your ultimates, and it's really, yeah, Humas is just really good. Next up we have Kali. I think Kali's good. Obviously he's a late game killing machine, but the fact that he just doesn't have that much pressure in the early mid game is just, in this meta right now, like in the rank meta also, it's just, I don't know, it's just not that strong. Like, you can't just rely on hoping to get to late game, because if the enemy jungler is smart, he'll like, you know, he'll gank the other side lanes, and like if you try ganking the other side lanes, then he can just like steal your jungle, and you might not even have a successful gank because you can't really, your ganks don't have a really high success rate early. You have to farm, but it's hard to just focus farm, because especially with speed buff, the enemy jungler will just be everywhere, and it's kind of hard to combat that with an early game Kali, you know what I mean? So I feel like, yes, he is top ban in rank, you always ban him, but it's not the end of the world if he gets passed through. You know, you can just like pick Beatlemn also to just counter him, or you can like pick Circuit, or you can pick Kumba. So I feel like Kali is good, but I think she's not as good as people value her. People all of a sudden she's got really valued very highly, but I just felt like she was always, the same. But she's definitely still good to play. She's fun. You just gotta play it smarter and kind of not be too aggressive, because you can't really be aggressive early. You can try to outplay, but there's only your limitations. You're like so limited in the exactly like how much you can do. Up next we have Kumba. I don't even have Kumba mastered. I just know he's annoying as shit. He's got so many setups, and his ultimate is just so good for like peel or like setting up also. The only thing is about if you're gonna play Kumba, don't be that guy that just ults the target that's already dead. Because you can ult the target, but if your teammates are around you, then you're kind of just think before you ult the target. Like, just try to think about like if your teammates if you can do that same amount of damage without having to ult. If your team, because sometimes your teammates can do more damage than just your ult, and you kind of just like prolonging the fight. So don't be that guy that just ults the carry that already uses escape to just prolong the fight. If anything, try to like leave that carry alone and like look to use your ult to just peel off someone else, because that's a long, they're up in the air for a pretty long time, so try to just be really smart with your CCs and like your ultimate usages. You could go for the kill, it does do damage, but sometimes you can just leave that to your teammates and just keep and use that ult as another form of peel, or possibly another setup for your teammate to come towards after. And also he has his mez, which is really good, especially in the laning phase. If you can bait someone to dive you, and like you're just mezzed, and you're just Kuma passive and just laying there, they have to like, auto you like a certain amount of times, and then it might not be enough. They might already be like way too deep in. So yeah, Kuma's pretty good. Except for that ult issue. I hate it when Kumba players do that and they just prolong the team fight, and it could screw you, honestly. It could screw you. Scylla's up next. Scylla's a very solid mid laner. Soulstone Power Pot. She does so much damage at level 3. You can get a crush onto the enemy mid laner or like the jungler. You'll do a lot of damage. It's just ridiculous. And then he scales well into late game. He has a good mid game now. Still just very solid. Just make sure you're patient with your twos. Don't feel like you need to initiate with your Sikkim. Try to wait till someone else CCs to set you up. Yeah, just think about if you have an Athena, like wait till Athena taunts, Just try to imagine your teammates and just envision what kind of CC they have, and like, oh, they'll probably do it first. I can just follow up, And yeah. And up next we have Circuit. I put Circuit A+, but you really have to practice this god. This god is very squishy, and then it's kind of a detriment to your overall team comp because it's just a really squishy jungler. She can't really initiate into the late game, so you have to play patient. You're kind of team dependent. You gotta wait out the actives or like wait out the jumps, hope they're alone. And yeah, but other than that, it's pretty OP. You can, if you're good and once you've practiced her enough, you can pretty much anyone you want to die, like you want them to die, like they're gonna die. You kind of just could choose whoever you want to kill. Especially with like solo lane guys like Tyr and like Guan, pretty popular. The anti-healing in her kit is really good against it. I just love camping solo lane. Camping solo lane is fun with Circuit. And then once you get blink too, you're even like more deadly. And if you can snowball early in the early game, it's like it's over. It's over. But she does require good positioning, but it's not as hard as anymore with the speed buff and like having her one reverted to the original cooldown. It's not that bad. So Circuit, I love it. Circuit's a good one to spam in the jungle, but that the only weakness is the fact that she is squishy, and you have to play passive, like especially in late game. You just gotta no matter how far you snowball, once you get to late game, or like after like some time has passed, you do have to play safer. You can't just keep thinking like, oh, I can keep going in. You know, I can just keep going in. Next up, we have Sobek. Sobek is a very solid support, especially for those that aren't really like, oh, I don't really like to play support. Sobek is a perfect support god for that player that doesn't, you know, doesn't really want to support, but they still want to go ham. You can just, yeah, the pluck is really good. It sets up very nicely. It catches people off guard. Like when they, it's just very demoralizing for the enemy team if they're like always constantly getting plucked and constantly getting CC'd. And Sobek is one like the most annoying gods to try and kill too, because he has the 2, he has the 1, he has the self heal, and then he has the protections in his ultimate that also like recharge his mana and stuff. Yeah, so he's a really good balance support to do damage and provide peel. Next up we have Thor. Thor is really good. He's always been really good. I would rank him higher, but the only thing is this is a rank list for plebs, right? Plebs have a common tendency to, when it comes to Thor, the skill ceiling is really high for Thor, right? And it's easy. Thor is also like a really easy god, but plebs for some reason they just cannot get the damage out properly in the middle of the middle of a fight or in the middle of a game. They just like, when it comes to like allocating damage, it's just not that efficient. And sometimes they can throw with their ult. Like a bad Thor ultimate can actually turn the tides worse for you and your team if it's a bad Thor ultimate. Like you miss, or like you choose a bad target, you know, that could all work against you. And then, you know, a Thor from behind is just, it sucks. You know, I'm sure we've all been there when we have a bad Thor game and we just like have done no damage. Especially when you build defense third item, it really feels like you do no damage at all. So that's the only thing about Thor. Thor has a really high skill ceiling, and he does a lot of damage, and you can get going with him. If you, especially like put 2 points in your hammer at level 3, and like you hit all your double taps, like you can go off. But you also can not be as efficient. You know, it's just, you just gotta have the balls to play Thor. Like when you're playing Thor, make sure you're not scared and just like play smart too. The good thing, I say that like you can fall behind, but another good thing about Thor is even if you are behind, you're still always gonna be useful for the entire game. You know, because you still have that global ultimate. You still can like wall people off. So even if you have a bad early game, you can still like come back and like help carry and help set up your teammates to come back and win the game. I've seen it happen a bunch of times. So that's like the only thing about Thor. And I'll make sure you're always practicing Thor. I don't consider Thor one of my main gods, like one of my favorite gods, but I have like the third most worshippers with him. I always try to practice Thor because I think Thor is just a very important traditional, like foundational god to have in your god pool. Up next, this A-list tier of gods are gods that in my opinion are fun to play and that you can play in ranked. They're not like the carry roles. Actually, X-Ball is, but we're gonna talk about him later. They have their issues. They kind of have their issues in my opinion. So we're gonna go Jingwei. Jingwei, the passive is just, I love to fly, man. I can farm a wave, I can go back, and I can just come fly back, and I can just like farm a backhand real quick, and then go back to my wave, you know? Especially if you're like already ahead in lane, and like you're out clearing the other ADC, it's good. And even if you're behind, you can still catch up with like all that extra farm. So Jingwei's really good. The only thing is like laning phase, you can't really be that aggressive. You kind of just have to focus the wave, but then by the time you get the wave, like the enemy laner will have the wave cleared too. So hopefully you have a good support. But Jingwei is really fun, and especially you can like play smart and get good like 1 knockups into like your 3 and get that Fatalis effect and just keep harassing and poking. She's really solid. But other than that, I don't really see her losing lane. I can see her just playing lane very safely. I think the team fight is where she really shines. Once you like get the 2 maxed out, have your 3 maxed out, and it's like lower on cooldown, she really shines in the team fight. The only thing is like she's so glitchy right now. Her ult, god damn man, it's it's so bad because sometimes it doesn't even pop. It's like I'm trying to start a motorcycle, but it's not starting like boom, 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 because that's the sound. It sounds like a motorcycle starting up when you pop her ultimate. But it's just like you're trying to turn the engine on, but it just turns back off. Like it's literally just like that. Like what the fuck? My ult didn't go off. Like I literally one time spammed it 3 times, and it just kept doing making that sound where it would start up, but then it wouldn't go off. And then I die. So that's the only thing about Jingwei right now. Like she's really solid, and she's like a good ADC to have in a winning team. Like you as a player might not be able to carry, but you can be a very functional player in that ranked team to help win the game. Because you can if you see a team fight in your jungle, like in the solo lane or like in the dual lane side, you can just back and fly over. Like flying over to the solo lane, like it really catches a lot of ranked players off guard because they'll just forget. They'll forget about that ability. They could be diving 2D. They can, especially if they try to like invade a buff. You can quickly like turn the tides. If they have pressure, they're trying to take advantage of it. You can kind of bait them, and then they really won't expect you to be there. You can just kind of catch them off guard. You just get a good 1 and 2 and 3. She's really good in my opinion. Next up we have Raijin. Raijin does a lot of burst damage, but I think for plebs, just like they just like you have to initiate. I don't know. A lot of people do the whole 2-3 combo, but then like that's your dash, and that's like the only thing I have an issue of. Also, when he's ulting, if he's not going for like if the enemy jungler is nearby or like anyone else, that person could just go on the Raijin and just start attacking him, because he is stationary. But as long as he's not targeting you, like if you're right next to him and he's targeting you, then like you're fucked. But if he's like trying to ult someone, like get a kill, like secure a kill on someone far away, make sure you like kind of just don't be scared, just walk up to him, like hit him, because he's either gonna like hit you or try to get that kill. And what really helps is having beads because he'll probably try to taunt you with his ult shot. So just have beads ready, and honestly it's a free kill once he's in the ult form, and you have the health, and you like Merc is pretty good against him. I'll say just don't let him initiate onto you. Just don't let the Raijin initiate onto you, and then you're good. But he does do a lot of burst damage, and he can snowball really hard. Another god is Soul. I really like Soul just because it's easy to it's just easy to get damage off. You just shoot your 2, and that's why every time I play Soul, I'm always like on the top of the damage charts because I just try to play good positioning. I just like try to hit my 2. That's about it. And then she has her 3. Disapparate is really OP, and then the 4 is really good too. Even has immunity. Very solid. Next up we have X-Ball. X-Ball is super good, really good ADC. Very like the best late game. Only thing is early game. You have to get to late. The only thing is like you have to get to late game, right? The laning phase isn't that strong. Especially if you don't get your passive stacks. But if you can get going, like X-Ball is a great god. The only thing is like you can't have a great game like every game. Some games might be rough, especially when it comes to the laning phase, and that might just work against you. Especially if your team isn't if the red like your jungler mid, if they're not winning, they don't have pressure, then it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be kind of tough. But his ultimate is really good, and he is definitely playable. And it definitely works, but it's just like, yeah, it just takes a little bit of extra patience that like plebs might not have, But if you're the kind of pleb that has the patience to farm and just you think you're a better late game fighter, then X-Ball will be perfect for you. But remember, you sacrifice pressure by picking X-Ball, and pressure is just so important. Next up we have Zhang. Zhang isn't like the top mid laner, but in my opinion, he's a really good mid laner for people that don't play mid. He's super solid. He has built-in protections. He has health in his kit. He has healing in his kit, and his ult does a bajillion damage once it's popped. And like the protections you get from the passive was really great. Like sometimes you don't even need to really pop your ult. I don't even because I don't want to lose my protection stacks, right? Like doing your 2 already does a lot of damage. You have your slow that does a ton of dot damage also, and then you have your 3. Some tips for Zhang: when you're not in laning phase, like when you're in the jungle or like when you're in a team fight, don't do the whole 1-2 combo because then you're just you lose out on the dot damage. Try to just shoot your 2 first, and then shoot your 1 to be like the most efficient. Like just try to initiate with your 2, you know, or like sometimes you might have to hit your 1 if like they're farther away. But here, if they're like right in front of you, you can get your 2 off. I would recommend doing that first, and then you get your 1 off. Let that do a little bit of dot damage. Then you can try to get your 3 if they're close, or you can just like hold on to your 3. You know, even like later game when your 3 is maxed out, that even your 3 does a lot of damage too. So he does a lot of damage and he's pretty tanky. So Zhang is like, in my opinion, like you can play him in like a lot. You can play him in anything. I was reading an interview by Chaos, and like, you know, he picked Zhang at every game in the world at Worlds. And he just said, like, you know, I just feel comfortable playing Zhang into anything. You know, I love Zhang. And I feel the same way. I think Zhang is a really solid, like, easy god to play. Because you could just bait people with that heal in the team fights, too. The outplay potential is, like, pretty strong. Like, especially with his ult. You know, like, people can't go on you because you can turn on them so hard. And B+, we have Awilix. Awilix is good. You know, he does a lot of damage. He has pressure early game. He's good against gods that have jumps and dashes and stuff like that. You know, get set up with Sobek. So yeah, just depending on the matchup, I would say Awilix is good. But I put him in B plus in the bottom of the tier list because, like, I don't know. Awilix is, how can I explain this? He's really strong. But he just kind of, if you don't have the team for it, like if you don't play him in the proper team comp or like against the proper enemy team, he's just not as effective. And for plebs, sometimes honestly, plebs aren't. He's like a very pleb friendly god just because the feather step does do a lot of damage and you can do the immunity frames. But I don't know. Sometimes plebs aren't really like. They're very inactive when it comes to like team fights and damage. Like they'll either like dive and try to go ham and die, or they'll kind of just stay in the back and try to look for an opening, but they can't, you know. But he can be also really good. I'll probably actually like put him A because he's not that bad. B plus we have Geb. I put Geb B plus because he's still a really solid support. He's really good support and ranked, but you can't really like carry with him. It kind of just depends on your team, and you just gotta stand back and just shield people, you know. And like maybe you can be aggressive, like one into lane and like knock people down like further into the wave and stuff like that. Just knowing things. Like Geb is really strong and really good, but the thing is just like early game, you know, the pressure isn't that great. You want to wait till you get to like level 12, 13 where you get that. That's where you get that spike, that mid game spike, and that you want to fight as Geb. You know, once you get to that level. It's just like the first 10 levels, like 12 levels are so important in my opinion in ranked. Next up we have Naja. Now I know Naja is a very top god and he's very popular right now. The only thing is he's very high risk for like decent reward. You know, he's very good setup, but like in the for plebs and like a solo queue kind of like mentality, like if you're playing with make sure you have teammates, you're playing with friends, like you have to play with friends, because if you're solo queuing and you're playing Najat, it can be rough sometimes because you can ult and like people just will not know how to follow. That's the thing about this game. This game is so team dependent that some people, they just won't follow up, you know. It's not their fault, they just didn't follow up, you know. It happens a lot, like more often than not. So, and especially if you're like not on it, because there can be a lot of games where you're just not on it. You're missing your sashes, like you're blink ulting and you're just not hitting it. You know, it's a lot of things. Like Neja, a lot of things happen with Neja. Like Neja is one of my favorite gods. I love playing her. I played her like a ton, but these are like the things that I've recognized through playing with her. Like you can have bad games by like missing your own. It can like a bad start can actually kind of fuck you. You know, but you are a good setup. You know, you can one shot. You are a one shot hyper carry in the late game. But if you don't do that, if you don't get that one kill, then you're essentially pretty useless. And like by then it's kind of hard because they'll have beads, and like, you know, they'll try to position around you. So get a good blink ult in. But if you can get going Neja, it's so fun. Make sure you're auto attack canceling too. 1-1, use a 1-1 heal. You know, attack, use your ring toss, attack, heal. You you know, stuff like that. Auto attack canceling in between a team fight is very important, because those autos are so slow, especially that fourth auto. God damn, that fourth auto is really slow. Also, another advice: when you clear jungle camps with Neja in the beginning, I like to at the 3 second, at like the 2 second mark, I start auto attacking 3 times, so that by the 5th second, my fourth auto attack will do AOE damage, and then yeah, it's just efficient little clear. I'll do AOE damage, and then I'll kill one small minion, and then I'll ring toss the big minion, so that it'll bounce off the leftover small minion back to the big minion. You know, that's just like a pretty good way to like maximize damage when you're clearing camps. So yeah, just little tips and tricks. I know, yeah, like certain guys I had more things to say just because I've played them more and I have more knowledge about it, and other guys I kind of really didn't have anything to say. But like you guys already know, like Humbas, like we know Chronos, like Apollo. I felt like there wasn't really much explanation for it. And yeah, I can't believe that's the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I just didn't add some gods because this is like my list for like, in my opinion, like, you know, pretty like pleb friendly gods. I'm a pleb. I'm the master pleb. So yeah, I didn't really want to put things like Loki in there because, you know, yeah, or like Kepri. Because like I didn't put Kepri because, yeah, the ult's great, but if you don't get a good ult, you're pretty much useless. You can't really you can't really be aggressive. Like for plebs, like there are better supports. Like Athena's a better support, Ares is a better support, even like Geb is a better support for plebs. I wouldn't, yeah. But you know, Kepri is good. I can't really, yeah, and like I don't know. These are like the gods that in my opinion, like you can do well in ranked with, and like you can like win consistently with, as long as like if you have these guys in your god pool, then you'll be fine in ranked. You can like play in plat level pretty decently. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and if you want to like see a certain tutorial on a certain god that I was talking about, let me know, because I think I'll be down to do that. You know, be like, yo, play this. I want to see blah 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 how you do that, and I'll like do a special video just for that god, maybe. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a good time. Woo.